All right, hello, Sooner Nation. We are back. Just telling Goss, my wife rearranged my whole upstairs, so I'm my first time getting my new setup. I've got my computer on a desk, and I am almost. I don't want. I mean, with the subscribers that we're getting, almost professional.
We're almost professionals.
I'm getting so dang close to being a professional podcaster. I don't even know what to do. I'm about to quit my job. I'm getting so close. So. Man, well, I do have 3 kids. Maybe I'll just stick around a little bit longer to see where how this pans out. But yeah. So we were talking before. I said, well, before we get into it, we got to touch base on the Thunder getting their rings.
That's your world champion, world champion Oklahoma City Thunder. Kind of a funny story. We had Jostens is the vendor that we use at school for class rings, graduation stuff, letter jackets, that sort of thing. And no, they're not sponsoring the pod, but this does dovetail into a Thunder story. That's who did the Thunder's rings. And the guy was showing me that he's going to get like a replica ring. And I was like, I need one of those too. So maybe I will have a Thunder replica ring at some point. But you know, how
did
they
you see those things?
Yeah, how they
like a ring inside of the
ring inside. And you know, the thought process is that, you know, they can actually wear the bands and that the ring, you know, is just a trophy. But no, awesome.
I would be wearing
night.
the whole ring.
Yes, I would
awesome
too.
Game. How awesome would it be that be a 7-game series?
You know, I mean, it was just crazy. I forget who it was. Somebody tweeted out, and I'm not trying to steal their thunder, but pun intended there. But, you know, it was October 21st. We were all screaming at our TV. Allie tells me at a point, she's like, God, Dad, I'm so nervous. It's like worse than one of my own games. And it's like, yeah, this is what the Thunder has done to us. We're screaming at the TV. We're nerved up. It's October 21st basketball. But, you know, couldn't have happened. Better ending as far as watching KD foul out and all that stuff. So that's great. But, man, we do need J-Dub back.
Yeah, we do. But what about Mitchell stepping up? I mean, he looked good. What's crazy is that shows you how deep we are. Is he goes off in the second half or second quarter, and he doesn't even play the third. So
we'll go from one injury report to another. It did come out that Alex Caruso is in concussion protocol. He's out for tomorrow night. There's a chance Lou Dort's out for tomorrow night. Already Dub and Joe and Kenrich out tomorrow night. So we're going to see a lot of AJ Mitchell. He may start tomorrow night. We're going to see some Barnheiser. We're going to see all that stuff coming up. Speaking of injury reports, Jeremy and I also, what we were talking about right before is availability report did come out for OU. And, you know, the usual suspects are out. Taylor, Sexton, and Everett. Keontae Lewis is still doubtful. And then the 4 people that, you know, probably impact things the most, Derek Simmons, Gentry Williams, Javonte Barnes, and Logan Howland are all questionable. Now, obviously, it'd be great if all those guys were there, but I mean, I think Derek Simmons is probably the name from that, Jeremy, that elicits the most concern.
Yeah, that's what I said before. I was like, Simmons is the one I worry the most about. I think we're pretty much used to Gentry Williams being hurt. I'd love to have him in the game, but like we almost have played more games with him hurt when he's been at OU than when he's been healthy. But we see what kind of player he is. I mean, literally nobody throws to his side. So you never have a problem having him in the game. And I heard rumor that he was trying to go back in the game on last Saturday, and they held him out. So, I mean, I don't know how much truth is in that. But that said, I think Simmons he's the biggest loss.
And it kind of seems like the people who show up on this that move from Wednesday to Thursday or Thursday to Friday, from the questionable to the probable or from the doubtful to the questionable, those are the people who end up playing on Saturday. And so I think we'll know more later in the week. Personally, if you're asking my opinion, I did listen to the Gabe and Teddy pod before. I think if there would have been a disruption, as plugged in as Gabe is to the offensive line, I think if Simmons was out, I think we would have heard about it. So I think he plays. Not sure about anyone else on that, but I would anticipate him playing.
I do like that. Howland is questionable. I think he
Yeah,
was.
it's moving the right
He was a
direction.
little doubtful. So I mean, we're getting healthy, and to be honest with you, all we got to do. I'm not saying like go off like what the running game did last Saturday, but just like get those short and manageable second and third downs. Get those good first. I mean, because that's really the name of the game. Is just getting those good 4 or 5 yard carries and first down, and set yourself up on second and third. It opens the playbook up so much. So,
And I mean,
we
this is an
got to
Ole
stick with that.
Miss. I mean, this is an Ole Miss team that just hasn't been very good against the run. I mean, that's they haven't been. And I agree, Jeremy. I think that's a really, really, really big, really, really big thing going into this. But this is an Ole Miss defense that's let's see, 99th in the country against the run. They're giving up almost 167 yards per game against the run. So that's definitely something that I think we're going to need, and we're going to need, like I said, need a healthy offensive line for that. But whether it's Howland or Simmons or whomever it may be going in there, I do think something that was brought up that I looked at too is they have really good tackles, looks like defensive tackles, but I think their defensive ends are a little bit on the lighter side. So expect to see maybe some more of like and I'm not as technical with it, but zone insert type thing where the tight end goes in motion, comes in, tries to kick out the edge to kind of give that to us, especially since we saw more Helms last week. And I think that is something where Canic can have some success also in the run game. But wouldn't you expect, Jeremy? There's no reason not to expect that this is going to be, a lot of Blaylock with a little bit of Robinson. I mean, whether Javonte's back or whatever, I'm going to be very, very frustrated with DeMarco if that's not the plan going in.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's anything that warrants putting Giovanni Barnes in after what you saw against South Carolina. And I really don't. I'll be honest with you, like I said our last pod after the South Carolina game, is I don't care how bad a team is. If you listen to Gabe and Teddy, the guy that they had on there was not a big fan of anything Ole Miss is doing. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to fall into the trap of that. But that said, Vegas always knows more than we do, and it worries me. The point
the line went,
the line just keeps moving and moving.
It opened up.
I just feel like we're starting to feel. And my deal is too with John Mateer is he showed some sparks and stuff like that, but I never thought like he was just like setting the world on fire. He wasn't putting up Baker numbers. But that said, he's also trying to get implemented with what these wide receiving core is. He's getting new bodies. Giovanni Gibson's getting put into and kind of get more plays called for him. Satanga is always getting put in there. And as the weeks go on, like we're starting to grow some continuity between these guys.
Well,
it seems like it's getting better.
Don't you think, Jeremy, you remember back when the Mateer injury first happened, we talked about, okay, let's look at when we think he'll be back, when we don't think he'll be back. And I think even the most conservative people were saying he'll be back for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And maybe we've had a guy playing quarterback the last 2 weeks, and he was serviceable last week, didn't turn it over, made the right reads, that sort of thing. But if we can get true John Mateer back this week, then yeah, I definitely think we have to feel pretty good about winning, because I really think this is as much as
Arbuckle starting to be able to like get that.
And I mean,
feel like Arbuckle's starting to get like more comfortable on his play calling too.
I do, 100%. I do.
Sorry about that.
And I think, I think if you're a national guy, you probably look at this and you think, okay, Lane Kiffin, offensive guru, Brent Venables, defensive guru. So it's really going to come down to can Brent Venables stop Lane Kiffin? But I really think this game's going to be won or lost on can Ben Arbuckle go score on Ole Miss's defensive coordinator. I think this is going to be a Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer game. I do. Because we've seen this defense, as great as it is, and it's really good. I like Ole Miss's running back. I think he's a good player. I think their receivers, they've got some good receivers. The kid who used to be at OSU is really, really fast. Stribling. I'm not sure exactly how you say his name, but I like multiple of their receivers. I like their big tight end. I like all those guys. I think they're going to hit us for a big player too. But I mean, if Georgia can go 8 for 8 scoring against them, if we can go 6 for 8 scoring against them with 3 touchdowns and 3 field goals, that gives us 30 points. Do we think Ole Miss is going to score 30 points against us? I don't.
No. And not to mention, last year, there's an NFL quarterback on their side, and we did not have a good enough football team to win games like that. And we had an opportunity to win that game
we're ahead at halftime, right?
I mean, and Jackson probably played one of his best halves that first half against Ole Miss. But what I mean by that is, like, our defense has always been strong. Even last year, we had a good defense. It's just our offense was so bad that it kind of took the shine off of what our defense was doing. Now we are winning games, so it's really making now we're talking like our defense is like, which they warrant all the praise that they get. To me, I think we're past the is this the best defense in SEC to is this the best defense in the college football? Because the way the way they attack is just, I mean, they're tackling, they're nobody's beating them.
And I mean, Lane's a tremendous troll. We know that. Mm-hmm. And everything Lane says has meaning and all that stuff. And, you know, I'm not rear hurt about the sign stealing thing at all. That to me, that's a non-issue. But something Lane did say that I did find interesting is, you know, he talked about this being maybe the best defense he's went up against since he's been at Ole Miss. And, you know, not just an OU defense or anything like that, but, you know, that's high praise. You know, now that's kind of Lane talking out of one side of his mouth, talking about how awesome we are, talking out of the other side of his mouth, making it, because if I'm BV, if I'm Michael, if I'm Miguel Chavis, if I'm, you know, Todd Bates, if I'm any of those guys on the defensive staff, Nate Dowling, anybody, I'm clipping that, you know, sign stealing thing, and I'm just telling them, the guys, they don't think you study tape, they don't think you do any of that stuff. They just think you're stealing signs and you're just playing the play like a bunch of JV dudes on a Tuesday practice.
Well, what I love is that he said that about Auburn, where the play that he called was Peyton Bowen reading his high school teammate, who he's probably played against how many times in high school and in college. Like, you think that guy doesn't know what he's doing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I thought was humorous. But also, too, he's trying to bait Brent Venables into it. But Venables, you know, Venables ain't going to fall for that crap. I mean, that's what's so funny about, you know, Lane. Lane can bait certain coaches in. Like, he tried to do it with Kirby, called him fat last week.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's little things like that. There's little things like that. And I mean, if that's what he is trying to get Brent with, is your defense looks so good that it looks like you're cheating.
Yeah.
That's pretty good praise, I would assume. So
yeah, no, I mean, you know, it's just interesting. And I was like, and you mentioned this earlier, but the guest, I think he was a 24/7 guy from Ole Miss that Gabe and Teddy had on, and his name escapes me right now, but you know, he was really not a fan of Trinidad Chambliss. He was not. He was just talking about that he did a really good job of not making mistakes and not turning the ball over, but he felt like he really couldn't push it downfield as well as the quarterback they started the year with. And so, you know, that was something I'll personally be honest with. I didn't think there was any quarterback controversy, but, you know, that guy talked, you know, kind of like that maybe there was a chance that they could play both quarterbacks this week, or if there was some struggle, you know, maybe they would go a different direction, and, you know, that sort of thing, and all that kind of stuff. And we know, because we've been a part of it, is just it's good. And if there's some dissension there of them losing, and there's some people who think Austin Simmons should be the starter, and there's some people who think Trinidad Chambliss should be the starter, all that stuff is good. As much distraction and noise is going on over there, and everybody's got Lane going to Florida, and all this stuff and all that. I mean, I think all that's positive for us, don't you?
Yeah, I do, but also too, I don't want us to get baited too much into like the 2 quarterback deal is. I mean, you throw that out there sometimes just to keep their head on the swivel.
And like I said, I didn't hear that didn't come from Lane or any of their coaches.
No, but I've heard little like, they let stuff leak what they want to leak.
Yes,
and that's kind of part of it. And that's just like Brent. We practice inside on every Tuesday, and the only time he practiced inside on Tuesday was Texas week. So,
right.
So I mean, every coach does it, and they're lying if they say they don't. But I mean, Trinidad, he is a freshman, isn't he?
Yes. No, he's a transfer. The Trinidad kid is a transfer because he won like the D2. He won like a D2 national championship last year. He's actually a senior.
Well, didn't they bring him in to be like a backup? Like
they brought him in to be the backup. Money. Yes,
they gave him backup money.
The Austin Simmons kid was supposed to be the starter.
What happened to Simmons? Did Simmons get hurt? Is that what
he got hurt in the Arkansas game? He did. He got hurt in the Arkansas game. I was watching that game because I was like, oh, that lefty got hurt because he was left-handed and he had a strong arm. And I was like, man, this kid they brought in is good. And
isn't it true all lefties are perverts? That's what I've heard.
Yeah. But and you look at when he came in. Yeah. And I mean, the scary thing to me with Chambliss is, he comes in his first 3 starts, or not first. I mean, he didn't start. He came in and finished this game against Arkansas. He was 21-29, 353, ran for 62 against Tulane, who, is a group of 5 team, but threw for 307, ran for 112. Against LSU, he threw for 314, ran for 71. But to me, some of the shine went off, and he still threw for 253 against Washington State, but he only ran for 15, still threw for 263, but had to throw 36 times against Georgia, and 75 of those were on one play. So you take that away, he's under 200 yards. More tape gets out on this guy, you kind of get more tendencies and that sort of thing. And it's going to be interesting. But all that being said, whether it's Chambliss, which I think it will be, or if it's Simmons, wouldn't you agree, Jeremy, this is the best quarterback we've played against?
Yeah. I mean, my deal is
I think Underwood's got the highest ceiling, but where he was.
Now, the way Arch played, I mean, he played.
Yeah, Arch was good that day.
I mean, it was. I mean, it's not like he set the world on fire, but like he played how. If you want to beat OU's defense, that's
the difference between that is I don't think Ole Miss's defense is as good as Texas's. I mean, I think Ole Miss has to win because of their offense. Arch was trying to make sure Texas didn't lose because of their offense, and that's a pretty big difference.
I agree, and I think the only way Ole Miss stays in this game is if we turn the ball over, which we have a tendency to do it. But it's like almost like a Texas game where like Mateer throws a bunch of turnovers, but that falls back into the trap of if we're not running the football and we're having to have obvious throwing downs, people can throw different things at us. Now, I think we're going to be able to run against them, if you want my honest opinion. I mean, I think as bad as South Carolina is, I still think their defense is better than Ole Miss's. And
I think it's
we were
similar.
A lot of similarity, but
especially with I think if the Stewart hasn't. What was the defensive end who got hurt last week?
Oh,
But
Stewart, yeah.
yeah, I think if he's 100% healthy, probably South Carolina's defense is better. But
Yeah.
But with him compromised and that sort of thing, I think what's similar with both of those defenses, I think it's probably a little bit like maybe Brent's first year defense, of the fact of they don't have the depth like that we have now, or like what Ole Miss had last year or Tennessee had last year, where they can just rotate those guys in. That while they've got two good defensive tackles, that's all they've got. And it's hard, especially if we can keep pounding that rock, because that's what Georgia did. It was a tired team in the fourth quarter the other day.
Yeah.
It really was. And I mean, here's the deal. I don't think this is a Georgia team that is as good as they have been. I really think we're just as good, if not better, than Georgia is on both sides of the ball. But Kirby's no idiot. Okay. They've won a lot. They do a lot of the right things. And Georgia just finds ways to win. And they just kept leaning on them and, until they broke down. And I mean, it was like playing tennis. And once they broke serve, that game was over. And so hopefully, we don't want to be in a shootout with them. We want to break serve early. But it'll be interesting to see, like, what happens first. Do we go score a touchdown first? And that kind of is off system a little bit, or do we get a turnover? Do we get a turnover or 3 and out early and get them out of system early? I think all that's really important. But I've seen this point made at a couple of different places, but I think we need to touch on it here. Any Ole Miss fans who happen to be listening to this, if you think we're like, yes, we're disappointed it's 11 a.m. kickoff, but guys, we trained for this BS for a lot of years. This is
in our wheelhouse, okay?
We were in the big freaking 12. We've played big noon kickoffs for the last 10 years, okay? Yeah. 15 years, 20 years, however long. It doesn't matter.
We got told where the excuse was that we're really good. That's why we keep getting 11 a.m. kickoffs.
So believe me, we know what we're doing. We will be there. I think there's a pretty good chance of rain. We're not scared. We'll be there. Ponchos, rain gear, all that stuff will be out. There will be, it is what it is, but we will be there. We will be loud. We will be ready. The 11 a.m. kickoff means absolutely nothing to us. Believe me, it's not a big deal.
And it makes you can't, and you watch that Ole Miss and Georgia game, and you hear like how all these Ole Miss people are like, our team's not as good, and now you've got the Florida deal with Lane in there, and it's like all the outside noise. But you watch how they played against Georgia, and then you look at Georgia and like, well, Georgia's not as like it's set up for us if we can just take care of business, because we win this week, then next week going to Tennessee is even. I mean, that makes that game gigantic, because to me, if we, like we said before, if we can just close it out and win our home games and lose, let's say we lose our road games, it'd be pretty hard to keep us out of the playoffs. Now I'm sure they will, but that said, it is we've got an argument for the schedule we played to go 9-3. So it's like what I say in college basketball: if you win all your home conference games and split your road games, that's a special season. Now, if we do that this year, which we won't because it's college basketball and we don't win conference games, we'll get to that. But I just look at it and I'm just like, everything's set up for us. Who says we can't go beat Alabama? I know Alabama's playing really good, but if we can win these next 2 weeks and we play Alabama at Alabama, game day is going to be there. That game is going to be, once again, the biggest game of Brent Venable's career. Yeah. That's going to be every week going forward. So,
But I mean, I'm a little bit zen about this game on Saturday. I just kind of feel like we're going to win. I don't really, have other than I just think, I mean, the SEC gauntlet that we all play is really rough. It is, but I think us being able to, I don't mean have a breather last week, but that game was over in the third quarter. It was. We had backups all over the field in the fourth quarter, and that game was really never in question after the midway point of the third. I just think that's good to get to leave some bullets in the holster, so to speak. And I mean, Ole Miss is going to be running on a little bit of fumes with that. So, that's kind of interesting. So, speaking of interesting, it wouldn't be a preview pod if I didn't give you some famous alumni tidbits. So, okay, obviously, if I was going to ask you who's Ole Miss's most famous alumni, you'd probably say what?
Arch Manning.
Archie
Manning.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean,
a lot of the younger folk will say Eli. So
right,
that's
the
why
man that
Archie.
the forehead. Yep, exactly. Lies, Eli's. I do love that part, so I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, has there anybody that's changed their whole career more than Eli Manning has after he retired? I mean, his brother's always been the one with the personality, and Eli's been this dry humor, and now all of a sudden, Eli's becoming the funny one.
No, I mean, because the stuff with Baker Mayfield, where he dressed before the Chad Powers thing, which obviously led into this show and all that stuff. But okay, non-athlete, got a couple names for you. Now, not graduates, but they both Morgan Freeman once went to Ole Miss. So there you go.
Hey, also too, there's a running back that I hated for the longest time because in 1999 Independence Bowl, that Bob Stoops' first year
is loose.
Deuce is loose.
Yeah, we were so happy to be at Independence Bowl. And we got the crap kicked out.
You'll never see it. Can you imagine now we went to Independence Bowl? They would want everybody's head.
Yes, the peeing and moaning. We were so excited to be in Shreveport, Louisiana.
But you know what? Bringing up that team, that team in 99 reminds me a lot of last year's OU team, where they couldn't finish games off, didn't know how to win. Yeah. And it's I was actually talking to a friend today about last year's OU team, even though we were supposed to act like that didn't exist. But I said, we went 6-7 last year, and if a couple of plays go our way, we're 8-4, possibly 9-3.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And we're talking about Brent Venables getting an extension, not getting fired. So that's just how football works. And if there's one thing about coaching right now, that is the biggest thing is you can go from hero to zero in a matter of weeks and go from extension to losing your job.
Well, I mean, that's that's the razor thin margins. I mean, you go back to James Franklin. If he goes ahead and wins that game a couple of weeks ago, he probably doesn't lose those next two, and he's he's probably got a first round bye going into the playoffs. So it's a razor thin margin. Last famous alumni, Jimmy Buffett. So Margaritaville, actually.
I did not know that.
Yep. So there you go. There's some Ole Miss, and no offense to anyone, but lots of good-looking females. Apparently, I think Ole Miss has had more Miss Americas than any other school or something like that. So
not that me and Steve are looking, Aaron and Lindsay, we do not look at stuff like that. We have the most beautiful wives in the world. Yeah. They don't listen to this, so I don't know why I'm even saying this. But
but in case they do.
Me and Steve both outkicked our coverage pretty bad. If they had any idea what kind of people we were before we met them, we should never have those two. I can promise you. So
they would have seen the slugs that. No, but
if they'd have saw us at that IHOP on Valentine's Day,
yes, exactly.
Different, giving them pancakes.
Okay.
There's so many references we throw out there that these podcast people are probably
make no sense to anyone else.
But me and you, so inside joke.
But hey, it's fine. And there are a few people listening, so that's good. Okay, Jeremy.
We got almost 135 subscribers, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. And growing. Okay, so I think we've kind of made it to that point. And usually I kind of have a number going into this, but I'm kind of thinking of this as we go. I'll go first today on predictions. I'm going to say we win. I'm going to go with the 30. I'm going to say OU wins 30-17.
I'm going to say 31-14. I'm going to go the old 2000 OU Nebraska score.
Hey, never a bad
31-14.
Yeah, a little red October. That's always a good thing.
I feel like kind of like last week, if Lane gets down in the red zone, he's probably not kicking field goals. He's probably going to try to go score touchdowns, and it'll probably end the same way it did against South Carolina. So I think he'll call better play calls than what South Carolina did. But that said, I just feel like we're going to get some opportunities. I think we're going to get some turnovers. I don't know why.
The weather can be a factor. I do think, there's things to watch. I think, like most football games, whoever can run the football is probably going to win this thing. And I have more faith. I think they might have a better running back. I do. But I think we've got the better defensive line and the better defense in general. So I think it's going to be harder to run against us. And I think as long as we can stop the run and establish the run, I think Mateer is going to be better this week as we're getting closer and closer back to 100% health there with him. But all in all, I just feel pretty confident, guys.
I do.
Rooster kick. Let's all try to be there and be loud, and hopefully the rain, kind of stays away, and then maybe it just rains on Ole Miss's sideline. Oh no, it can't rain on Ole Miss's sideline because I'm right behind Ole Miss, so it can rain directly on them. It can rain over on Jarrett, but no rain on me.
Hey guys, keep this. Hey, we got a late run on this last pod where we end up getting over. I think we're at like 150, something like that.
Yep, saw that.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for the new subscribers. Keep the subscribers coming. It's a new hip thing to do is subscribe to our podcast.
Cool. So, all the cool kids are doing. Maybe we get to 6, 7. More subscribers.
Okay, now there goes our subscribers. So whoever just unsubscribed to us, please subscribe. We will not do any of that again, okay?
Remember, guys, I'm at a high school. I can't help it. Soonercast@gmail.com. All complaints. Too. Yeah. All complaints go to Soonercast@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. Boomer.
Hit that like button. Boomer Sooner. It don't work. Who cares?